Welcome to Which Yes, the Minisode.
I'm Alicia Herder.
And I'm Terra Keck. If you're hearing this, Alicia, Marcel, and Terra are probably out of town. Terra is working hard on our upcoming show. Marcel is at a very important meeting. And Alicia is probably lost in Central Park. Again. Where'd she go? I'm so scared. When will she return? It's been days. Has it been days? It feels like weeks. My whole life, I knew one day we would be apart. But not now. Not this soon.
Hey, Terra, what'd I miss? Home from the park.
I think I was taking some pictures.
They got a marionette theater over there. Like, I got all strung up for a while.
But there's no context for that joke. Alicia's fucking wild for marionettes right now.
I am. It's probably just creepy.
All right, so back on our bullshit. Back on our tarot bullshit.
Hey, we're back.
And I thought it would be a pointed topic today to talk about the swords.
That was really good.
Thanks.
That was like the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Right?
Yeah.
We
you
can
should tell
end comedy.
your boyfriend to quit comedy. Like, really, he doesn't compete.
Yeah, I mean,
in comparison, it doesn't make sense.
I think honestly, like, post this episode, we can all just go home.
Podcast is done.
Finished.
We don't need to talk about the final suit at all.
Who gives a shit about the
pentacles? We leave you with 3.
So the swords, guys. The swords. They're dramatic and fancy and a little
rough around the edges.
Just kidding. Now comedy is dead. Holy shit. Ba-dum-chung. Okay, so the swords, also known as the spades, if we're bringing it back to our normal card, like our playing card, Crazy Eights.
Swords are so much cooler than spades. Spades is like what you use to garden with.
It's like
Can you garden with a sword? Has this been tested?
Can
we go in? Are we allowed to like carry swords around in New York?
If we claim that they are for
gardening
purposes,
only.
I'm a gardener.
Gardening purposes only.
Yeah. I'm a plant fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so a machete is used in the jungle to, clear away brush, which is like gardening. So swords are technically already historically used for gardening.
All right, that's the podcast.
All right, it's done. All right, cool. Right,
okay,
we're home. So, swords.
Swords. Tell me
back
about
to swords. Back to these big old mystical knives. Are associated with power, a power that can be both constructive and destructive, change, ambition and oppression, courage and conflict, logic and reason. Are you getting the hint here? Because it seems to me that the sword suit embodies a lot of dualities, the values and shortcomings of the same force.
Do you know what this is to me? It's a penis. The values and shortcomings of the same force.
This is the dick suit.
This is the dick suit. It thinks it's powerful. I mean, it's a grower, not a shower. So it's full of change. It has ambition and oppression.
Courage and conflict.
Lots of conflict. I don't know about logic and reason. I don't think I've seen any penis like that. Yeah, no. Okay. But
Penises
we're on to it.
Defy logic.
They are gross. I've said it here.
You heard it here first.
You can put it on my tombstone.
Put on my IMDb. Quotes by Alicia Herder.
Quotes by Alicia Herder. All right, so now we know this is the phallic symbol. So let's see what happens with that.
So kind of the note I was making with those dualities is that if you're thinking about dualities in swords are double-edged. Mm-hmm. They cut 2 ways. The sword cards are a reflection of the quality of mind present in your conscious thoughts and beliefs. These cards are often associated with conflict and strife, both external and internal. What battles are you fighting within yourself, witches? What is the birthplace of that conflict? Who or what planted that conflict within you?
Sounds sexual. Just saying.
They can also reveal truths, cutting through the brush of your psyche and exposing the open wounds we need to face in order to overcome obstacles and move forward, which is ultimately a positive thing, I think.
I think so.
Sometimes you need to re-break a bone to set it right.
I don't know about that one.
I've never broken a bone.
I've never broken a bone.
I don't know
either.
anything about bones.
We know nothing about bones.
Nix it. Witches, don't listen.
The one time we signed up for bone casting, they wouldn't let us do it.
I bring that up.
Our friend Mallory is still pissed. Our creative director, furious every time it's mentioned.
So the negative aspects of the suit of swords include anger, guilt, harsh judgment, a lack of compassion, and even in the most extreme cases, verbal and mental abuse.
That's rude.
It's painful, and a lot of these cards, as we move through the story of the Ace of Swords, or the Fool, as we've been calling him, there's a lot of bad news coming, witches.
Great.
Oof. So the suit of swords is deeply connected to the season of fall and the element of air, which I thought it would be earth because it's like swords and metal, but I was wrong.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me.
So I still don't really get it, but here's a quote that I thought like kind of helped me understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So air is intangible and unseen, but also in constant movement. Air can be still and mostly unnoticed to becoming a breeze or a fierce wind. It is powerful, yet refreshing and cleansing. And you're thinking about the cut of a sword, the stillness, the movement of it as it moves through air. I found that to be a little bit telling of this suit. In addition, they, the swords, enhance the realm of the mind, of clarity and consciousness, and the sharp edge of the truth. Because of their constant connection to truth, the swords are also heavily associated with justice and fairness. And like if we're looking at Libra and Aquarius, which are both air signs,
Call them out.
who are very much concerned with justice and fairness, I think.
All right, they've been called out.
I done did the damn thing.
That's all we can say about you guys.
So we got some cards to talk about, guys.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've been on this path, right? So if we accept the Ace of Swords as our fool in this suit, it seems to be a fool of morality and ideals, right? The harshness of the wind, the harshness of the sword. While it is the beginning of a new adventure, it's a goal and victory-driven adventure. And often this new adventure begins after having left something or someone behind, cutting off all ties and moving forward.
Bye-bye.
See you later. The Two of Swords is a card of decisions. It's generally depicted as a blindfolded woman holding two swords pointed in different directions, like a cross across her chest.
That sounds dangerous.
It represents conflicting ideas which have to be reconciled, or mixed signals leading you in different directions. And one of those directions is probably the most recognizable tarot card of the Minor Arcana, which is the Three of Swords. So it's the card, and you've probably seen on Tumblr, you've probably seen it tattooed on some sad girl's upper arm. It's the bright red, anatomically incorrect heart with three swords stuck into it.
That's really dramatic.
But it gets worse. The heart with the swords is like in the fucking rain.
What?
It's so sad. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, go listen to some fucking AFI.
That's literally what this sounds like.
I can hear it.
That was the band I was going to bring up.
So this card brings tidings of heartache, sorrow, and grief. This is the breakup card.
Aww.
It really is. And it's, I think a lot of times by the time you get this card, you're already inside of it. Like inside that breakup, inside that grief, inside that sorrow. This card doesn't necessarily encourage you to sit in this sorrow or fear this sorrow, but it's asking you to lean into the pain, to truly experience it and learn its lessons. The Four of Swords is a sleeping Dracula-ass motherfucker. It urges you to take some time out and retreat to a place of rest and serenity. If you move forward without taking time to wind down or process what you're going through, this fucking breakup, you're going to have a horrible rebound and it's going to go bad. You'll reach a state of total burnout. And then you're not going to be able to suck any blood, motherfucker.
So, if you take the Four of Swords and hold it up to a mirror, can you see it?
No, it's Dracula.
Oh, wow.
Right, he's like, so if you're looking at the card, he's like on top of a fucking coffin. Like with his hands on top of his chest. What is that?
I don't know. Men are dramatic. This is definitely a Minor Arcana full of men, minus that one blindfolded lady, but I think she was lost.
Okay. So, if the Five of Swords arises in your tarot reading, think long and hard about what you're fighting for and pick your battles wisely. Really think about the different options that you have when approaching conflict, when approaching strife, when approaching struggle. Because one of the options you have is the Six of Swords, which involves abandoning the fight. Walking away from this may feel very painful at the time, and baby, I know it's hard. It hurts so much to give up. It hurts to leave before you're sure it's over, because then you feel like you're the one that gave up, who abandoned, and you could be experiencing fear and regret. But in order to move forward in your life, you must leave some things behind, and it's okay to leave those things behind.
So this is the card you get when, like, a few months later you find out your ex is, like, still posting about you on Tumblr. Like, this is probably the card you see.
This is also maybe the card you see when you're thinking about getting back with your ex.
Tricky card.
Or the ex that you broke up with, but they're still, like, weirdly present in your life.
Yeah.
And you haven't had a clean cut. It's kind of like a nasty little skin tag that's been hanging on that you can't quite ice off.
Yeah.
And this is permission. I think that a lot of times we feel like we need permission to give up because there's like a stigma against that. And I would say that while I would not always encourage in every situation to give up, because I really value like perseverance and pushing through, I think that it's okay to put down things that don't serve you.
Yeah.
That aren't helping you. That aren't good for you.
Yeah.
But enough about my life.
We want strong baby witches.
Strong baby witches.
Get rid of that toxic person in your life.
So the last 4 cards of the swords are harbingers of deception and pain. So get ready.
They are just pictures of people basically dead.
So the 7 of Swords is like this guy, and he's like carrying away all these swords, and he's got like a fez on his head, which is nice. In its positive sense, this card encourages you to look for unique ways to get ahead, you know, like work smarter, not harder.
This is an intern.
This is an intern, but an intern that's maybe been there for 9 months and is at the end of his year internship. However, this card, the 7 of Swords, is heavy with betrayal.
I mean, he's carrying like 7 swords.
I don't think any of those swords are his swords, Alicia.
But I mean, that's heavy still. It's probably heavier that it's someone else's swords.
Have you
because
ever
that
held
means
a
you
sword?
care. Yes.
What was it like?
Awesome.
Where did you hold a sword?
My dad had a sword.
Why did your dad have a sword?
I can't answer that question. I'd have no idea about that question. But it was a beautiful sword. They were like pseudo-biblical engravings on them. Like, I was absolutely fascinated about it. It was when I was going through my Pirates of the Caribbean phase in middle school, where I was definitely in love with Captain Jack Sparrow. And so I was so into swords. And swords is something like I'd really like to be into again, but I mean, I can't afford that. So, you know, I guess I could just use it for gardening, but we'll see. If you want to donate your sword through Pinecast, it's at the bottom of our copy for each episode. I'd really appreciate a sword.
Oh my God, so funny. Okay, so this card could indicate that you are the victim of someone else's secrets or manipulation. My family's parenting technique growing up was always kind of like trust but verify. So you should trust your son when he says he's going to the track meet, but verify that he's not stuffing Heyman Lee into the trunk of his car. When the 8 of Swords appears in your spread, you may be feeling trapped or stuck in a situation. You may feel that you are the victim of whatever circumstances you're in. But the 8 of Swords challenges you to consider whether you've built these walls yourself. Are you tempering your own flame? Are you holding yourself back? The 9 of Swords is a card of anxiety and fear. What's keeping you up at night? What monsters lie beneath your bed? You may feel victim to the rolling waves of your emotions, which is very cups, I feel like. Very cups card, very cup suit. And what you've always feared rings true in the 10 of Swords, which is the most dramatic card ever.
More dramatic than the Tower.
Look at all the swords.
That's true. They're basically just in his back.
There are 10 swords. Fucking swords.
Where did he get them?
Who let him have all those swords? So the 10 of Swords is a card that represents finality. A line crossed. There is no turning back, which is it's over. This may be felt as a tragic loss, but it often brings with it a sense of release and closure. The waiting, the wondering, the obsessing is over, and there is no more ambiguity. Now that I think about it, I mean, like, the swords are kind of airy, because if you look at their face cards, They feature a lot of sky and cloud and wind imagery.
Oh, I guess they
It's
do.
like they're kind of like whipping across the plains. The Page of Swords is a reminder to get your ducks in a line, get your facts straight, and don't be afraid to do your research. And I like the way he holds that sword like he's never held a sword before.
Like he's holding a duck.
Like he's holding a duck.
It's very delicate.
He's like, here's my son, the sword. I love him so much.
Quack, quack, quack.
He also kind of looks like this is like another senior portrait picture where it's like, okay, now hold the sword like you're swinging it, Michelle.
I like your pose.
It was great. I'm really sorry you guys can't be here.
What a bummer for them.
Then the Knight of Swords rides forward and does not consider the consequences and is not wary of a challenge. When the Knight of Swords shows up in your tarot reading, it encourages you to pause. Pause to center yourself while you move forward. The Queen of Swords is a woman of logic, strength, but also immovability. When the Queen of Swords arises in your tarot reading, it's a message to act with independence and to fight for yourself. Never let anyone mold you into something different. Be strong and stand up for all that you are.
So it's Cersei. It's like, yeah, fuck your brother. It's fine. Stand up for yourself.
Fuck your brother. It's like the 1500s.
Whatever.
The King of Swords... Whatever. The King of Swords does not have an emotional bone in his body. He is purely concerned with logic and fact. But in this way, he can be exceptionally wise. When this card comes up in your tarot reading, you may be in the position of lending guidance to others, or could benefit from asking for advice yourself. When you seek guidance from the King of Swords, you can expect nothing but the truth. But I feel like that truth could be harsh and untempered.
Like he's not a friend giving you a truth. He's that one random person giving you the truth who's actually right.
Maybe he's like your closest friend who's like
calling you on your shit.
Yeah, it's like, you know I love you. So it's like, I'm not here to like fucking sugarcoat these things. This is what you need to hear and this is what you need to know. So Alicia.
I love this part.
It's like a quiz. It's like a very public quiz.
I'm so ready.
Who are these swords? What are these swords doing here?
Let me tell you about this sword. So first you start off as the baby sword. The Ace of Swords, some may say.
Baby sword. Baby sword.
Baby sword. And, you know, it's like, it's sharp and pointy, but, you know, a baby. So we're on a very treacherous path right now.
Well, baby's got those really sharp nails.
Yeah.
They're like weirdly sharp nails.
Like talons.
Yeah.
Basically. That's why, like, when they come out of the womb, the doctors take the baby away so that they can, like, cut their nails and give them back so that you don't know that you just gave birth to a demon child.
That's why they do that.
Yeah. Sometimes you see it recorded on the home video and you're like, interesting. I see. Yeah. So what did I learn today? Swords suck. What? I think that's really it. Can I make a broad statement and just say, like, getting a sword sucks?
But also, we told every witch in the first episode that every witch deserves a sword.
We lied. We are bad people.
We didn't know any better.
We didn't know. We had not done our research at that point. No, yeah, every witch get a sword. And there's sword growth. Like, your sword gets bigger with age. It gets more logical, more reasoning. Don't fuck with knights with swords, which I guess kind of makes sense, you know? Maybe just don't fuck with anyone with a sword. And there was, like, one good sword. The page. The page holding the little sword duck. Having a grand old time. His hair's flying in the wind. Beautiful.
What a great spring break for him.
What a great spring break.
What a great internship.
Miami. So, yeah, tell us about what I should have learned about the swords.
So, just to recap, the swords are a tumultuous and guarded suit of the tarot. It seems to me that it is not a suit that encourages wild passions or thoughtless actions.
So it's no fun.
I mean, debatable. I feel like...
breaking up with your ex is fun, right?
I love being sad.
All the time.
All the time. I feel that the swords are there to remind us to think before we act and to expect and plan for the worst to be better prepared for our fights to come. There are moments of heartbreak and betrayal, but I think that there are also lessons of self-love and self-respect.
All right. You can be okay, swords.
Would you just, I want someone to buy me some more swords.
Pinecast at the bottom of the episode. Click it. Donate swords only.
Swords, we are only accepting swords.
At this time.
I mean, really, whatever you want to give us.
And that's been our mini episode.
Ah, shit. That was fast.
And that's what yes.
You sure you can't burn like 30 more minutes on talking about nothing? Marcel is saying no. Marcel is shaking his head. He's begging.
He has to pee. He has to pee really bad. He's been texting me the whole time.
All right. I guess this has been
Which yes.